Alright guys, so welcome to another exciting episode on mental health. You guys know, hey Israel, what's that? I beg you, please. Hey. So for my mental health, it's something I'm really passionate about. I used to be among these people who have wrong notions about mental health. I think that if you don't know what to say and contribute to the matter, like just stay off it, because
just stay quiet.
Mental health is a real issue. I know our generation can push things to another side where everybody's like mental health.
Yeah.
But I think that just because some people would take anything to the extreme should not make us like destroy the importance and relevance of a topic. So I think let's just discuss it in plainness. And today I'm just reacting to his amazing article that he wrote on Instagram. I'm going to pass some things across the screen, and if you want to read the full article, then you can go down to my description box. I know it's just looking at me. I hope every time I say description box, we discuss that today. I don't put it. See, I'll try and put it, okay? So it will be in the description box. You can go follow him on Instagram, and people are advocating for Baba Easy's writing skills. So I'm here putting him on the spot. People really enjoyed that writing that he made. It was really short and really amazing. And I think in such a time like pandemic and all the difficulties going in the world, I think everybody, our mental health has been tried. So let us start first of all, because today we're talking about setting proper boundaries, right? But let's just start today by talking about being comfortable with having the discussion of mental health and wellness. Especially as Africans, how difficult is it for us to really confront mental wellness and health?
Well, as an African, I must say that it's not easy. But one thing I'll also say is the fact that I appreciate that we are gradually opening up. Yeah, we are being progressive in that direction. Okay, and mental health is very, very key for you to succeed, for you to excel in whatever you're doing, even for you to for you to do well spiritually, for you to grow spiritually. Your mental health is very, very
the Bible says that guard your heart with all diligence, because that's how your life begins. The springs of your life will flow out from.
So it's very, very important. And for me, I'm an advocate of mental health, positive mental health. Not long ago, but I started studying about it. I started realizing a lot of things about it, and then for me, I'm trying to get to find out the root cause why a lot of people have their mental health messed up, even at a young age. You see a whole lot of teenagers are going through depression, they're going through a whole lot of things and all of that. Yes, I know we could attribute it to spirits and everything as Christians, but then also there's a loophole that gets created, for these things to happen. So we really, for me, it's something that we really need to start talking about as pastors, as leaders in the church, as doctors, as parents, and all of that. So mental health is very, very key.
And I think this thing that when people discard mental health, like when somebody say I'm depressed, and then you use some words that plays down on how they feel. I think it's not. I think it's ghetto. I think that we really need to stop. Over the scriptures, I can tell you, a man of God was even depressed, Elijah, and remember, he ran away.
Baba ran.
Yes, he had a problem. So we can even see a case, a powerful man of God, as powerful as he was, had to struggle with emotions and terrible feelings. So please, when somebody is going through trauma, you may not be going through trauma, or you don't understand. Actually, I find out that some people don't even understand emotions. That's another. That's another part of it.
That's another topic for another day.
It shows you are dysfunctional. First of all. So, but even if you don't get it, because I think I was reading a story a while ago. I can't remember, from an article whereby a boy wrote a suicide note and actually killed himself. And people were saying that in 4 months or 5 months, nobody knew that he was going through these difficult times. And
was it an African?
Yes, it was an African. It was Nigerian. And I know we make those jokes like Africans don't take, Africans kill themselves.
But
like
that's the truth.
do.
But now that's the thing. Sorry to interject here, but one thing we've always said is the fact that Africans, or especially African men, we don't show signs of weakness.
Let's not go there. That would be another topic on its own.
So it's and this is why you realize that a whole lot of people get to the point where they get entirely broken. They're broken down. They get to a state of no repair. A few days ago, I was just pondering. I was asking myself, why is it that in the African society, you realize that the men die a lot faster and quicker than the women, and then you realize that they have to go through a whole lot of things. I was listening to one guy on Instagram the other day. He said something. He was like, some people, some families get raised on the blood pressure of the men.
Yes, absolutely.
He's the man. He has to man up. He has to do everything. Yes, I'm totally for that. I understand that. But then again, if there is need for you to take a break, to meet someone, to seek counsel, to seek
a therapist. As a Christian, it is not sin to see a therapist, because there is this stigmatization that go and see your pastor. Your pastor may not be trained clinically for such situations,
and he might not have the necessary experience.
Yes, and I think that pastors, please, or leaders in the church, since most of people who view my contents are Christians, please, you need to know some things that are beyond you.
Yeah.
Even me as a medical doctor, I'm not a psychologist or a therapist, So there's some matters that I've counseled, and then I know that this guy needs to see a therapist. But sometimes as leaders we want to be able to do everything. You want to be able. Sometimes you don't get, and it's not about shoving scriptures down the throats of people. There are people who know how to ask the questions that will bring out that. So I did a training, and they said sometimes as pastors delegate. Of course, you want to delegate the person to a place where they can have guided care. So if you can't afford a Christian good therapist, then I think that's good. And pastors can also take courses in therapy, psychology. So
but for me, I actually believe that as a pastor, like
or as a Christian leader,
Christian leader, yes, and that is responsible for people. It's very important. It's very necessary that you take some of these side courses, because it's really going to help. Because people are always going to come to you for counsel. Okay, people are always going to come to you, to open up to you, to talk to you about a whole lot of things, and you should be able to manage these things and handle these things.
And then the ones that are not, you are seeing that it needs professional.
More professional.
Because this is how I know we have delivery homes. I don't want us to veer too much in our churches and all those places where we have like some midwives, and then people are being pressured to deliver like Hebrew women. We are seeing that the woman needs a cesarean section. The church cannot handle it at this time. Many people have died in those scenarios because many cases it's so outrageous, or sometimes let's not even go there. Let's not dive as well.
Let's not go there.
Let's just stay on topic. But what we're just trying to say is that encourage people, know your limits, and encourage people to go for professional help whenever they need it. It is very important for these discussions to be had. Okay. So that's about mental wellness, sensitization, and growing up in Africa. Let me just chip that in. When Israel is here, I don't know if we can ever stay on topic, but let's hope this doesn't get so long. Let's talk about how growing in Africa, let's just infer it. How growing up in Africa, especially Nigeria, is ghetto. I think everyone from that country, Nigeria, needs to get a psychoanalysis. To be honest, I'm not trying to throw my country under the bus, but when you leave the country, sometimes you begin to know that some of your actions are madness. It goes from school, from how we're treated in school, how you get threatened.
The trauma
in school.
We
have gone through. You will find out that you've gone through trauma every single place.
Thinking of some of those things, they're crazy. But really, I just like I said, Africa is really progressing in terms of mental health and how they handle kids and all that. But then at the same time, I'm not an advocate of stupidity, because there's something that happens, especially with Africans, is the fact that when we get a concept, we don't try to understand it. We don't really try to delve into it, and then we just push it to our extreme, push it how we want, especially with this our generation and everything. So I from what I've been seeing in schools and keeping in touch with some teachers and here and there, I realized that they're really beginning to take these things serious.
And I think I never went to any counselor in my schooling years, not even from primary school to university, college. I don't think my college has a counselor. So
maybe they had, but the problem
it wasn't popular.
The emphasis that is laid on them.
Did you ever see a counselor?
I never saw a counselor.
Did you know a friend who saw a counselor?
I can't remember one, but I know my school had one. They always said they had one. But then the point is this, right? Already, let's say from primary school. Okay, you ask yourself, what is the need of seeing a counselor? Because already your parents are telling you, oh, you have to study, let's say, law. You have to be a lawyer. And all of that.
Not just career counselors.
No.
I'm
getting to that. Okay, now there's that, and then next there's the fact that what are you going to go see a counselor for? Let's say that your parents said something that hurt you.
That hurts you. But these things are legit.
No,
they are legit.
You can't.
So I don't know if there's anyone that's watching this video and he stumbled on you. Please, I think schools need genuine counselors, and these things need to be understandable. Sometimes the child may even be wrong, absolutely, but someone that will help them to process
the information and realize that they are wrong.
They are wrong in this sense, and someone else they can talk to apart from the person who hurt them, which will be your mom or your dad in that cases. And most times, sometimes it's not like your mom and dad.
For me, the parents are really not wrong.
Yes,
in like a lot of the cases because they want
the best
for the kids. But then we as kids, we see it from a myopic point of view. So, but now most times when we talk to an external figure, the person now makes us realize that this is actually, it's just like when let me use my younger brother for some time. For example, let's say if something happens, because he talks to me a lot, he confides in me a lot, you see, and then he's not so happy and all of that, and then he comes to tell me that this or that happened and everything. Now, when I talk to him, I'm like, hey, see, this is actually what dad and mom actually meant. You know, this is what they meant. This is what they needed to do and all of that. So he gets to see it. He's like, oh, really? I didn't see it from this point of view. I didn't see it from this perspective. You see,
and he would never have understood if your parents told him, no matter what.
For them, like, you just flogged me, or probably you just hit me, and so it's like, I don't want to hear what you have to say and all of that.
Which I think African parents should try. The other methods, I know that the Bible encourages using the rod, and I think I will use it a couple of times. I can't remember. My mom whoops me a lot, but not as much as dad.
No, the person who I remember who really dealt with me was my dad.
My dad.
My mom would be like,
my dad only slapped me once, and that one I deserved it. I slammed the door, and he said, "Come here!" And me, because he has never. I went to him and started he slapped me that day. I deserved that slap, to be honest. That's not abuse. That was my mom putting in the right place.
My mom, I can't remember.
Oh, my mom, I can't count how many times. Slippers, anything.
She's like, I'm going to tell your dad when he comes back. That is enough to reset me.
Reset you, Abi. Wow. Okay, so that's set aside for an introduction. Let's go back to the piece that you wrote. Setting proper boundaries. So let's say I have come of age to understand my mental wellness. As we all know, at this state where you get to where you're accountable for yourself. You can't keep blaming people. You can't keep blaming your past. You can't keep blaming your traumas. Somebody said we can be students of our past, but we should not be prisoners to it. So you can learn from your past, but you cannot remain there. So first of all, we said setting boundaries. Please, I'm reading from my laptop.
Proper boundaries.
Proper boundaries. Okay, proper. So you said wherever you go, whatever you do not say yes.
Why are you reading that? Wherever you go,
CC go. Whatever you do not say yes when you mean to say no. Okay, I think that's where the article started from. So can you lead us on from the beginning? Yes. Why boundaries?
All right. For me, boundaries are everything. Everything. And one thing I mentioned in the article was this: consciously or unconsciously, you are setting boundaries. You are either setting them or you're taking them off. Whether you like it or not. For example, you know this thing we say, my best friend, right? When you call someone your best friend, you've given that person access into your life to a certain level. And then, like my dad used to say, that you have your friend, you have your acquaintance, you have you see different categories of people. These are different levels of boundaries that you said. Okay, so now back to the whole song and everything. For me, I actually, what happened was I just remembered this song, and then to me, just clicked. I was like, but hey, they were actually teaching us something very vital here,
Although we just
although for us it was just like vibes and cruise and all of that, but really there was really something important they were teaching us. Don't say yes when you mean to say no. Okay.
Why is it important? What if I just want to say yes to just let people off my back? Like, me be.
But that is the point. Because you want to be now. Remember, a yes that you said today it's going to be an expected yes tomorrow.
Okay.
Do you get it? Okay. So basically, if you keep letting people into your space, at a certain point, you're going to feel so choked up that you're going to want to fight back.
Yeah.
And most times we end up blaming the people. But when you really look back in retrospect, you realize that it is you who led them into this place. While I was writing this article, it brought back so many memories. So many memories. That's why I talked about... Now, I'm not just talking... I didn't just write the article from the perspective of someone whose boundaries were, broken or overstepped into and all of that. I also wrote it from the perspective of me having overstepped into certain boundaries. Now, there are certain relationships that I lost or that I've lost today that when I look back, I realized that if I had actually been more cautious, and that is why in the article I was saying that even if someone lets you in, know your limits.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Okay, so let me interject and ask you these questions.
Yes.
There's some people I know, at the sound of the word boundaries, their heart is boiling. They are annoyed. What do you have to say about a person like that?
So basically,
at the insinuation of I want to set boundaries, or at the sound of people should have boundaries, some individuals, they are annoyed. How do you classify those kind of people?
I'm sorry, I classify you as a dysfunctional person.
Why? Because there are people like that the moment you say, let us do this thing this way, let us put these rules and boundaries in whatever we do.
No.
They are annoyed. They don't want boundaries. They believe boundaries means selfishness.
No. Boundaries or setting boundaries doesn't mean proper boundaries, actually.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean selfishness.
Okay, explain.
Now, here's the thing.
Because I've seen this as how people used to guilt trip people. Like, you want to have time to rest. Like, yes. Why would you, especially even maybe as Christians, as a child of God, why will you want to rest? Why will you not want to open up your space or your time at this particular time? Why would you want to say at this time in the morning is where I just relax and drink water and I don't want to pick calls at this time?
All right. For me, I'm going to use myself as a case study. Right? There was a time in my life where I didn't know how to set boundaries. I literally let everything in and everyone into it. And really, it really cost me a lot because it messed up with my mental health. So bad. Now, anybody who does not advocate, or even if you don't advocate for it, but who doesn't or who gets furious at the point or whenever we mention setting proper boundaries or no, please, this is my space, really don't come into it. I'm sorry.
They're not nice for you. They're not nice for your mental health.
Yes, they're not nice. And honestly, if you can get rid of such people, do your best to get rid of them. Here is why I'm saying that, because what happens is this: it turns into a cycle of gaslighting, abuse, toxicity, and all of that. So literally, because you're trying, for example, everyone is in at different levels of their life. Everyone is at different levels of their life. Okay, now, if I let you into my life at this point in time, for example, I'm in a phase in my life where I'm really trying to organize things. Every decision I make now counts. It's not like I'm 19.
Where we do.
Yes, like it's not as if I'm 19 where I can say, I can catch up. No, now every decision I make now counts, and if I take any wrong decision, there's going to be a ripple effect on me for a very long period of time. Now, I have to, for the fact that maybe I'm conversant with you or I play around with you or this and that, it doesn't mean that I have to let you to just come in. You realize that there are certain things that I talk to you about, and then you're like, we just keep it between us. There are other things that I can talk to every other person. I remember just yesterday night I was talking with my dad on the phone, and then he was telling me that we're really happy we had this amazing conversation. He was telling me something like, it's not everything you say to everyone. You have to know your limits with everybody. And you also have to teach people their limits. And he was saying that you can be talking to someone.
I like that statement. Before you continue, you have to teach people their limit. Let me just say something. You'll continue from there. The thing is that boundaries are uncomfortable for every one of us.
Yes.
To be very honest, I'm close to him, and if I can get everything I ask from him, I'll be excited. Let's be very honest with that. Each and every one of us will want everything we want from everybody, their time. We want everybody to listen to how we had a boring day, even if they have things to do. So when somebody says no, no matter how healthy you are, except you've really disciplined yourself, you're not always going to be like, yay. But I think one difference between a healthy person and someone who is toxic and abusive, and how you need to know that you're toxic and abusive, is that even if it pains you that you couldn't get what you wanted from your friend or someone close to you, or from your family member or from your parents, you can understand their place. It is uncomfortable, but it's not going to cause a rift or a problem.
Let's give a very clear example. Something that happens between both of us. Right. I cut your hair. Right.
Yeah.
And then there's sometimes when you tell me, oh, I need to cut my hair. It's urgent, and I'm like, I'm not so available, and everything. And then you're like, oh, okay, it's fine. You see. And it doesn't change anything in the
It doesn't change. And I can be, let's be very honest.
No.
I can be annoyed, to be very honest. Like, I want to cut my hair. Sometimes I've come to his house, like, and he didn't have time to cut the hair. I pack my bag and I go. I went home, not happy, but it doesn't mean like the next morning
when we are talking to fight about it, get dramatic.
It is
boundaries,
for God's sake. Like, he couldn't do it at that time.
You remember there was this incident, there's this thing, I don't know if you remember the night where we had a little misunderstanding.
Yeah, I remember that night.
And then you left, and then by the time you were leaving, you texted me and everything, and then I texted you, and then we had a misunderstanding, but then,
conversation.
It doesn't affect our relation. And really, he made me see that, this thing is not the right way to go about it. You see, and yes, initially when we had that misunderstanding, I wasn't happy. But then when you texted me, you were like, "Hey, Israel, you have to really do the right thing." And I was like, "Oh yeah, actually." You get it? So literally, because, and the interesting thing, if not that I've given you a certain level of access, I will never open that side of my life to you.
Yes, that's true.
So you see, so that's why setting boundaries are very important. It's really it's something we have to learn to accept.
And teach people, no matter how hard it is. I've come to find out that if you always say yes, it's people who have selfish tendency will
trample on you.
I think I saw something on one of I think on our status, she was saying something like in Nigeria, something. I can't remember if I can remember it, or if I can ask her, put it here. But what the status was trying to say is that people try. It's just human tendency to exploit, and if you're always available, to be honest,
you're going to be exploited,
and people will move on. And why people get damaged is that you have availed yourself for every other person else. And do you know the funny thing about people who don't respect boundaries? When it's their time, they will make it. They will make it clear.
Respect that boundary.
That's where you begin to look like the crazy one, because you are like, but I've been there for everybody. I have done this. Sometimes people get into organizations and systems. You don't even know why you are there. There is no clear cut responsibility. People even get into jobs, work for 4 years, 3 years, 5 years with no contracts, with nothing, and then you are screaming. You are screaming like, and sometimes those organizations, they just lay you off maybe 6 years, 7 years after you've slaved, like whatever, and then you are shouting like, after all these years they've used me, because you've not boundary, like you said, is important. From the very first day you're doing something, you have to ask. Even when you meet people, guy, what are we doing here? Where is this going? And people who exploit people, they don't like this.
They don't like these questions.
They always try to let's just be anything you have done for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. They say let's just be going and trusting the Lord, doing all this thing. It does not end well.
Talking about the exploitation, right? Because there's an article I'm working on. Okay, I was supposed to put it out a couple of days ago, but I realized that there's more I can add to it. It's the culture of exploitation in leadership. The culture of exploitation, not just leadership in relationships, in
family
systems and everything like this. These things and people get exploited because they are not able to set boundaries.
All right, Israel. This video is already quite long, so let's just start putting. I want to be asking questions like, please read the article. It will help you. It's quite short and precise. So let's go from the point of let's start from being a person of authority. Okay, this could include being a father, a mom, a leader, a boss. Sometimes we have people revere those people in a high extent, and it's quite difficult to say no to them because you respect them. So first of all, what can leaders do, or people with any kind of authority over a person? Because there's sometimes I've done things for people not because it was okay for me, but because I can't just say no. Like that's just it. So I suffer myself. And
if you ever get to say no, it becomes a whole.
Okay, so let's start from how can a leader really? Because sometimes I think because we're not self-aware, we can't, and I think it's selfishness. You can't see when somebody is suffering just to please you.
Yeah.
So from a leader's point of view, how can we help people set boundaries with us?
Well, first of all, I'm going to start with this statement. Okay, I don't know who said it, but for me it's been one of my key quotes for some time now that I've really been pondering over, and it's this: power is nothing without control. Power is nothing without restraint. Now, when you are in a state of authority, or when you're in a place where you have a higher so much influence in someone's life, it takes a lot of
restraint, holding back, not to exploit.
Yes, not to exploit. You need to know when to stop. And honestly, saying this, I have not been the perfect person.
To be honest, yeah,
I'm really going to be honest with that. I've not been the perfect person, and sometimes, and you know the funny thing, a lot of times we do it without even knowing we're doing it.
Yes.
And then, but when I sit back and I think, I'm like, oh my God, this is actually where I got it wrong. So, talking about setting boundaries, being someone in a position of leadership, in a position of authority, I'm learning how to do it, how to hold back. It's really not easy, but then it is something that needs to be done.
Yeah.
The only way, or not the only way, one of the main ways you can teach the people how to set boundaries is, first of all, by you being able to hold back even when you have full access to do what you want to do.
And I think another thing that you can do is create a healthy environment where people can say no to you.
Yes.
People can say what they don't like.
Yes.
Without adverse
reaction.
Because some people say, you can tell me anything. We all grew up in an African home. You can say anything until you say
anything.
Until you say no, and then you see the rage.
Yes. Yeah.
One thing I help people with is that I've always taught everyone close to me that you're entitled to say no. I think it's also a safe place as well, and I also tell you that I don't have to pretend to be happy.
Yes.
That you said
no.
Yes. I can feel. Please allow me the same way you are allowed to feel your own self.
Yes. To say no.
Yes. Allow me to feel
the way.
Because I'm a human being. I wanted you to help me do something. I cannot be like, yay, set boundaries. I'm gonna feel a bit disappointed.
Yeah.
But if I understand that I'm responsible for my disappointment, not you.
Not you.
Yes. So most people will be like, I have to come and beg you.
With the disappointment, it's also because we
have what do they call it? How do we call it? Entitlement spirit. So when they did not meet your, so sometimes I always have to conscious myself that I think there was the other day with Hanok. He doesn't like me to mention his name, the videographer. He did an edit for me and I didn't like it. Yeah. I had to school myself to say, this person is helping you do something. I showed my dissatisfaction. I don't think I was even happy with myself with the level of satisfaction I showed. But I had to correct myself that this is not his problem. This is my problem. He doesn't need to do anything to make me feel any better, and I don't have to bring this up again. As a matter of fact, I need to go an extra mile to correct that emotions. Now, I'm not going to say you're going to act best all the time as a leader, but you putting that pressure, like unnecessary pressure on people. Maybe they have to come and beg you after they said no.
You know, there's this thing we say in Nigeria, which I've been saying it to people around me a lot, and I'm like, say it with your chest.
I don't understand that statement, please. They mean now be bold about what you want to do.
Yeah, but what I mean is be bold and be honest. Okay, I'm not asking you to be rude and disrespectful and all that, but all I'm saying is that what you want to say, right? Say it with all boldness. Okay, if you're wrong, you'll get corrected. Okay, and never shy away. Yeah, I think also in there's also one other write-up I was working on where I was talking about this Sorosoke generation, like the generation that speaks up. Yeah, for me, I'm happy that this generation speaks up. Okay, it's really amazing that they speak up, but then again, we keep on pushing the boundaries too far. We need to know where to stop. Yeah, that's respect. It still boils down to setting proper
understand
boundaries.
Offices, understand people who have paid the price to be where they want to be. Understand that you're not tied down anywhere.
Of course, yeah.
You understand, and if something is uncomfortable for you, then
you can always
excuse yourself.
So, as a leader in authority, the first thing you have to show restraint. It's very, very important.
Yeah.
It's very, very important
because many times if you don't show restraint, people don't even resent you.
Yeah.
Initially.
Yeah.
sometimes it is 7 years, 8 years, 9 years of pushing boundaries, and then people erupt. They get to a point where, and I think it's not good for both parties, both the whether parent and follower or whatever, follower, husband, wife, whatever it is, it becomes some way. And I also think let's not only talk about followers. I think leaders also need to set boundaries.
Yeah, but I think personally, a lot of my write-ups have been coming for leaders.
I think from the point of where what I'm trying to say is that many times, just because you're a leader, you think that you are there for everybody.
Or maybe you know everything.
You are not Jesus. You can't save the whole world.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say. You can't save the whole world. So there are some things that really there's some days you really need your time. This $100 is for you. This $100 is for your family. You have promised your wife this $100 on this trip.
Yeah.
Your kids, because I feel like sometimes, because there's no boundaries between your personal life and other lives, I think this really happens with pastors. That's why most pastors are bitter and really
they
really feel broken because at the end of the day, you didn't set boundaries. You, instead of paying your children's school fees, you called it sacrifice, which was not an informed sacrifice. You were hoping that this sacrifice
will yield some results.
This sacrifice will pay, and then people. You didn't even have an agreement with anybody.
I think I've been there at a certain point in my life where I did certain things for people.
Maybe you help people, and now they are big now and not saying they will not. They don't.
I was expecting some people to some. I don't know.
It's not really big. Maybe reciprocation or
funny thing is you think you don't expect it until when
it
the
happens.
Opportunity happens and then the person doesn't do what you want and then you're like. After all I've done for you, just like I was talking on saying on my status last time. After all I've done for you, I'm like, no.
It is not selfishness. I know many people come and say you're trying to preach people to be selfish. No. To be very honest, before there can be a healthy community, there has to be a healthy individual.
Yes.
If you don't take time to be healthy on your own, no matter how you come to people. So first of all, what is primary is personal health.
Health, yes.
Self-help.
Yes.
It does not mean indulging the flesh, but keeping your spirit, soul, and body together so that
the Bible even says that I wish above all things that you prosper.
Yes.
Even as your soul
prospers. Yes, that's my most favorite scripture.
Even as your soul prospers. So it's very important. The scripture, like I've always said it, when it comes to mental health, when it comes to setting boundaries, right? I've always said it, the only person who does not have boundaries in your life is the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. God is the only one without boundaries.
Yes, God is the only one with the boundaries. And that's why for me, when you talk about...
And even aside that, God gave us a will.
A will. To choose.
To choose. Which it means that to some certain extent, we can put it that God is not going to cross beyond your will.
What you yield.
Yes.
Beyond what you give to Him. He's not going to go beyond that. So even God respects... For God so loved the world that He gave His Son, that
whosoever. Some of y'all.
So even God understands the concept of boundaries. He gave us a will. Okay. So and it's only when we give Him our will, we decide to yield ourselves to Him. That is when He now has access in our lives to start doing what He wants to do.
And even the access you give to Him, let's say if you allow Him in your finances,
yes,
you don't allow me in your health.
Exactly.
He's in your finances.
He's not your health.
He's not going to say, you have allowed me inside finances. I've taken over.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think one thing before we round up this conversation, I think it has to spill in and more into, because mental wellness is like a whole bulk of world.
It's a whole thing. I think I might even try to take a course on it because it's something.
It's really important. I think everybody needs to really have this conversations, because most people shy, and if you can't have conversations, I think you need to learn about things. Let's not talk about that for now. You see, most people grown, they can't have one-on-one, and I think one thing too, in African homes we say about that thing about when parents talk about things in morning devotion and they don't talk about it in real life. So you get to hear things from morning devotion that they can't have that one-on-one conversation with you. I don't even know how. I don't know. I think it's dysfunctional.
Okay, I think for me, yes, my parents actually spoke about things in morning devotion, but from time to time, my dad literally, I can't remember countless times he woke me up. Countless times he woke me up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Like, let's talk. Let's talk. Okay. It's true that most times the conversation was like one-sided. You know, it was coming from him. Of course, you know how it's in African homes now. You really can't. You're not really that expressive. But then it was mostly from me. But then one thing that's happened to me is the fact that a lot of times I always sit back and remember the things. Yeah. You remember there was a day you even said something that Israel, I realized that your parents have a huge say in your life. Like, they're very, it doesn't mean that I bold you, I bend to everything that they say, but literally we have conversations, we make decisions, especially now that I'm grown up, we make decisions on things and all of that. Yeah, so when it comes to setting boundaries and when it comes to doing all of these things, even as a parent, whether you're African or European, you're a parent,
maybe I'll do a zoom shot in this camera because Israel, I want to say this and I want to say it to my chest, like they say it. See, if you are a boss, a CEO, whatever where you are heading, for the mental wellness of where you are, do not discuss things in board meetings that are supposed to be discussed with privately. Sometimes you drag every other person's state of being okay just because you have issues with one department. Every other department have to, and that's why leaders have to have people that they talk to for your mental wellness. I do this a lot. I have people that I lead. I try as much as possible not to process my pain with them. Yeah, Israel is here. Is a more elder statesman where I am. So maybe if somebody lower than me hurts me, what I do is I talk to him about it, and then I get back to the person healed. Not having, like, let's say if you're in the family, example, you have a problem with your wife, for example,
and then you go to the kids.
Then morning devotion, we know, say mommy and daddy they quarrel, mom and dad is having a problem, and then the sermon for that particular day, then next morning, mommy is preaching.
Husbands, love your wife.
Yes, it destroys the mental wellness of everybody, whereby I think that's why you need to have people that you can, a safe place, somebody that you can really talk to.
No matter who you are, no matter your age, no matter your level in the society, you really need to have people who you talk to,
who you can be playing with,
who you can be honest with about what is happening in your life at every point in time.
Yeah.
You know. Yes, I know as Christians, we always say
you talk to the Holy Spirit.
Talk to the Holy Spirit and all of that. Yes, it's very important.
Yeah.
It's great. It's amazing. But then also it's very, very important to talk to people.
Yeah. So you don't drag people who are not interested in whatever pain you're going through.
And then you drag them through the whole process
and then
and everything. And they end up messing up. You mess up the person's day, you mess up every other person's day.
Just because you could have just processed.
Yeah, you mess up the whole lot of
And when you're not okay, just admit you're not okay.
But sometimes seek help. When you are not okay, you can really take a break.
Yes, you can take a break. Especially if you are, like, for example, even if I'm a YouTuber, for example, one thing I find that if something is really, really wrong with me, I stay away from those topics.
Yes.
Even, I don't want to talk about this mental health.
Yes.
Well, that's because I'm trying to discipline myself, you understand? If something, you can stay away. Because at the end of the day, I have an audience. Yeah. If I have a pain in my heart, and every day I come here, I'm venting. Eventually, I will drag everybody.
It's called violence.
Please, let's not be violent. For the mental wellness of others and for yourself, learn to talk to people. No man can be an island. I feel like most people who have these issues are people who are secluded.
Well, not just secluded, but there are also people who have self-esteem issues.
Yes, self-esteem issues.
Because one of the things I mentioned in the article is the fact that you have to understand and know your worth to be able to set proper boundaries. And now, most of these statements, it doesn't just go to the follower. It also goes to you as a leader. Because really, most people who abuse, gaslight, and are toxic to people are leaders.
Well, Israel, I want to say people are toxic to each other. Let's be like that way.
Well,
I don't think it's one-sided. I think even sometimes leaders face abuse because sometimes
no, of course.
Some people, whatever they feel, they ask their man of God, pastor, leader, CEO, they think you are obliged.
Of course, they think. I've been in that position where it's like, because
seriously?
I wasn't able to do something.
You couldn't pray with me at 6.
Yeah. Why? In my mind, I'm like, oh my God, this person doesn't even understand that I'm going through a lot
Going
of
through
that.
stuff.
But the reason why I'm mostly talking about leadership is because of the authority. Like I said, power is nothing without
Power,
restraint.
yes, because sometimes, and I think leaders they have to be more careful because
yes,
you're the one with the hold out of the power.
Yeah. So
all right,
you can teach the people. You can teach them.
Yes, you are the point of teaching to set boundaries. Somebody should say that. Oh, I don't know this. Like, it's fine.
Okay,
it's okay.
Yeah, you remember. I think it was this one of the guys who we brought to church. His story. I think he was testifying last time when he said, "Oh, okay, I'm not going to come to church today. I'm going to this place." And we were like, "Oh, it's fine." And then the next day, the guy was like, "Nah, really, this guy just said it's fine."
Yeah. But actually, like, when I said it's fine, like, what will I do? You are a human being.
Exactly.
It's just like, even when I met a girl, she came to church and I was about to like invite her, and then she said she's a member of the other church. The first thing I was asking her, "What are you doing here?" I met somebody, like, I think on Sunday. She said, "Oh, my friend invited." I said, "No, you have to go back to the church where you are." I said, "For you to be able to live on a Sunday, it means you're not so serious
in your church
with your church. So go and get involved in your church." She was like, "Oh, okay, my parents want me to be in the church closer." Then I said, "Go and pray with it about it. Okay, our church is closer. Then we can start coming." But that boundary, immediately you say she's from somewhere, I take my hands off.
Yeah,
you don't have to push. Yeah. You know, some other people want to push and set boundaries. And finally, I just want us to end here. I don't know how many times we said finally. I hope this is the first time.
Yeah, anyway, but before we end, this also reminds me of a certain lady who I met, and you know, she was a friend to one of the members, and I was like, "Hey, how are you doing? Hey, I would like you to come around church." And he was like, "No." I'm like, "Okay, can I be your friend?" "No, I don't want to be friends." Okay, it's fine. I just smiled about it and everything and all of that. And really, this happened after I had really gotten a certain level of training, with respecting people's decisions. I can tell you, if this was 3-4 years ago,
you must do it.
In my mind, I'm like, we must be friends.
You do first. Then after you finish doing first, you now ask.
And so literally, but then over time, it really got interesting that this person now, yes, we are not the closest of friends, but we talk, and everything. The person comes around, from time to time and everything. So you realize that, but sometimes I ask myself, what if I was still that erratic person who's like, I am rule, law, and order in this place, and you have to do it, and everything. So, but yeah.
At the end of the day, though, I think boundaries are very important. At the end of the day, we all have to learn to receive people's boundaries, and we also all have to learn to set boundaries. And one thing I also
have to learn to restrict ourselves.
Yes, restrict ourselves. One thing I've also learned along the line, and I'm still trying to learn, is that you don't have to agree with people on everything. There could be a point whereby we healthily disagree on topics, especially things that has to do with preferences.
Yes.
I've seen people go bonkers just because I don't like this. Now, it's not against the scriptures, not against the word of God or anything. It's just, I don't like durags. Everybody knows it. Yeah. But I have people who wear durags. I have friends who wear durags. Yeah. Like, it's just me and what. There's nowhere written in the scriptures that don't wear durags. Yeah. Me, I feel like when you wear durag, you're a bad boy, you're a thief. You are.
Do you remember when I call you African parent?
Whatever you want to call me. But I could respect if you want to do it, please do it in your space. But if you're coming to see me and you want anything from me, you shall know that don't come with durag. Yeah. Because you stand a high chance of not getting it. But it's not like I would follow you. So I think part of boundaries is understanding the difference between preferences and even other things. And even when people are outwardly like out of there, I believe that God has not killed them yet. So don't lose your mental health because somebody wants to go to hell. Yeah, you can pray for them. And why setting your own boundaries? I always tell my guy, Toby, some of you know him. I tell him that, see, you are free to do this, but when you do this, this is my reaction. Yes. As you are free to do your own, I'm free to do my own. As long as you can do your own and I can do my own, and we can, because sometimes it's not worth losing some relationships because of some tiny little things. Really. If somebody makes their boundary clear to you, maybe you want someone to do something, and tell them, "Oh, I'm sorry if you can't do this." Like if somebody's in a church, some people they like to sing, but you don't want to come for choir rehearsal. See, if you don't come for choir, I like that you want to sing, but if you don't come for choir rehearsal, you can't sing. You can't sing. Yeah. Apart from that, we can have a healthy. Any one of us in that agreement who tries to encroach into the other person from backyard without doing what is necessary. So we can also learn to just say, okay, this is the repercussion of your behavior when it comes to me. And then we accept it that way, and then we live in. We live with it. Yeah, in peace and in understanding. So I think it's very important that people come to their, even when it's the truth, people come to it to a point that they processed it in their mind. You can guide, of course, and most times young people will always feel like we know it. I'm not going to say that that's not the case, but at the end of the day, if anybody is going to walk into a knowledge and stay in that knowledge for a long time, you have to get far away for them to mentally be able to process it.
That is why you have to guide.
You have to guide, lead, and influence rather than the word. I remember this last thing. You know, preachers of tough love. Me, I feel like 80% of them are toxic people. Tough love preachers. I concluded this last week. 80% of tough love preachers are very toxic. And how do you know? How do I know about this? Is that they themselves can't take tough love. Most preachers of tough love, if you give them small version of tough love, they can. Tough love, I do it as I do it. I say it as I say it. Like, I stone you with the truth. Just die on the truth or arise on the truth. See, let's be very honest. The generation that we are in, they don't care about it. But you see me and Israel were the last line. 1989 to this age.
Last line of defense.
Like, sometimes I'm serious. I'm leading young people. After I finish talking, I say something like, I know that people don't care. And if you see how they laugh, you will know that for real, they don't care. So if you're of the older generation, I'm sorry. This is where our world is right now. And if you want to do anything, you must. It's either you behave like 1945 and lose the people, or you find a healthy balance in between them. And young people too, I think we should open up more to wisdom. You don't have to make mistakes that people have made before. Listen to the voice. Don't do grab.
But I think with this young generation, it's basically how you approach them.
And influence, because they are woke.
And one thing about them is the fact that they are attracted to results.
Yes. So if you can take them through that process and help them to understand. Unfortunately, I think
and they're loyal to faults too.
I don't know. I feel like generation is just crazy. You just need God to help them.
No, for me, I think they are loyal because really, when you're there for them and you take them through the whole process and everything, when they look back and they realize that you were really genuine. When I mean being there for them, like, you know, our generation was more like being there for us was more like, we give you money, we provide for you. No. This generation now, it's like being there for them entails emotionally every single step of the way and everything. Yeah, it's tasking, it's demanding. But when they turn back and look and they see, oh, you were really there for you, come on, like they never let go.
So it's my way or the highway is toxic.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. So try as much as possible to have a little tact in your approach in life. And, still, let us not forget that at the end of the day, man is free will.
Yeah, free will.
And the only person who attempts to break anybody's will is the devil. I think I can end it there.
Yeah, anyway.
For any reason at all, good or bad, trying to outwill the will of somebody. The only person who deserves the will and the submission of our will is God. He doesn't take it forcefully. And
one thing I noticed, he doesn't take it for granted.
Yes.
Every time you yield to him and all of that, he doesn't take it for
and please don't go here and say the only person that divides my will is God. Then you know sometimes the way God demands your will is also submitting to other people. But this message of anywhere I'm hearing submission, and I'm not hearing love.
Yeah,
it's an abusive
place. Problem,
because submission and love they go together. Whether in marriage, any man with a shout, my wife no they submit to me, no they submit me. Baba, why no they submit? Not true. I just they talk but Bible talk live for Bible like that. Men that are really loving, I've seen it that
your wives
naturally submit, and submission is an outflow of love. When you understand the love of God, like Romans 12 says, I beseech you by the mercy of the living God that you now present. Apostle Paul was saying, seeing God's love, now submit to Him. There's no way, even for my own life, when I understand that someone loves me, it's not hard to just lay down my life. I trust you. So, and trust is not a word, it's action. Okay? One thing I've noticed, many times I've noticed people don't trust me. Then I don't begin to shout to force them to trust
me. Why don't you trust me?
Why can't you trust me? No.
You have to prove.
You have to
earn trust.
Yes, you have to earn it. And if somebody doesn't trust you and you're really interested in that relationship, then maybe find out why. Sometimes you have to have a conversation. People have distrust because of series of events.
Yes.
And people have trust because of series of events. So if you can change the narrative, it may take time. People, but words of mouth for trust is not there. So I don't really know what we covered in this thing. I think it was just a rant and just a talk. But
it was a broad one and all of that. And I think the last thing I would like to say, that the last 4 statements I used in closing my article, it was like, may we learn to set proper boundaries, may we teach others to set proper boundaries, may we learn to respect boundaries set by ourselves, and may we learn to respect the boundaries set by other people. So it's like, this is a summation of everything.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I really I don't know, I feel like this discussion is kind of like mini therapy for me. It's really great, and relationships can be hard.
I think every relationship is hard.
Let me end it here. No matter what spectrum that you are in, father to kid, kid to father, boss to worker, and employee relationships. Every relationship is hard, and whatever end of the spectrum where you are, sometimes your perspective seems to be like the best. But I think for each and every one of us to be able to have healthy relationships, we have to learn to healthily make, to have, how do they put it, difficult conversations. Yes, and talk. Nobody, like he said, power. Nobody usurping their power, and nobody trying to bend or break because of anything. So any relationship is going to be hard. But I don't want that statement. Most people also use that statement, even in abuse. They say, stay in your marriage. All marriages are. I'm not saying God hates divorce. I'm just trying to say
God hates abuse.
Yes, please. So something they say, stay. Everything is hard. You don't get where you go. Where you not go get issues. True.
I beg go before the key person.
Yes, at the end of the day. But see, where there is an unhealthy environment, you see that people will walk through the issues.
Actually, where there's love,
one sign of a place that is healthy is that people are able to rise up from conflicts and they're able to heal. I think for me, that's what I search for. If I'm with someone, can we comfortably disagree and go through that hard times and progress?
No, why? If you just talk to you, if you just call my name
Israel or any other person, because there's nobody holy pass like somebody.
But literally, I think over the years, one thing I've really learned, having you as a friend, as a brother, as and a senior minister and everything, is the fact that irrespective of our differences, when it comes to certain situation, or irrespective of our different opinions and preferences, right, it doesn't really affect how we work. It doesn't affect how we relate and stuff like that. We might disagree.
And sometimes I can let you, and you come back again and say you don't want to do again. And I don't shove it down your neck. If you notice, I will not say, hey, I told you get to the end. But if I do it, it's okay. But I don't like make it a big issue. I just understand that sometimes, as painful as it is, the child has to walk, put the hand in that fire and get hurt, and come back, and never go back there again. There's no matter of. Hopefully, we all hope our children would not touch the fire.
But then somehow
you just have to hold your chest and believe. I believe in prayers.
Yes,
and pray for
people,
and intercede for them, talk to them.
No, rather, I don't really like this talk to people. I prefer talk with
talk with them. Be open. Don't come. There's one thing that shuts me down in the conversation when I see that you're coming to get me to your end. Not process with me.
Yes, not process my end with me. Yes. And allow me to process your end and then how to
get to the end. And every conversation must be open to the point that we must not end this thing. I think the pressure that we have, can we end this series? The pressure that we have is that we must get to an end. And I think it is an unrealistic expectation.
Sometimes we must not really get to
and healthy conversation does not mean and I say, I see my fault. Alright, so what we're saying is that one tact in communication is that we don't always have to get to an end. We just have to know that I hear you, you hear me. And of course, I
see your perspective, I see my perspective. You must not understand.
You must not understand, to be honest. And sometimes, my perspective, your perspective is just, there are always 3 sides to the story, okay? Your side, my side, and the truth. And I think our goal should not be to get to his side or get to my side. And sometimes things take years to understand. Days to understand, minutes to understand.
Especially when you're dealing with different generations.
Different people as well, and as different humans. So we can always have the conversation, agree to disagree, and say, okay, for today, I hear you, this is what you're saying. And then you say, I hear you, this is what you're saying. Okay, so since we didn't come to that truth, okay, what is it there for us right now? So you say, okay, because of this and this, boundaries. Because of this and this, boundaries. So we have an understanding. We can always move like that. So I'm calling more for a progressive conversation rather than an end in itself. If we get to an end, it's beautiful. But if we don't, so then, you know that if I don't do this, okay, so we understand.
And these are for things that, of course, that are not outrightly against
the scriptures. Okay. So thank you so much for listening. This is quite a long one. If you go to the end, you're really a good person. So
you're a real subscriber.
Yeah, a real subscriber. But I think this was something nice that you can just have popcorn and listen to. So Israel, would you like to give a final word?
Well, I just have to say I'm learning how to set boundaries. I'm learning restraint. I'm also trying to teach the people around me how to set boundaries, and I believe that if everyone can be able to learn this concept of setting boundaries, it's really, really, really going to help everyone, both as a child,
whether giving or receiving.
Basically whether giving or receiving. So setting proper boundaries are very important, and then I hope we can always come around and have more conversations like this.
Yeah, so please go to his Instagram handle. I think we should have done this over like food or something next time.
Maybe next time we should do it.
Yes, next time. I think I'm going to be having more lengthy discussion with Israel like this.
Healthy
food, of course. Oh yeah, I don't even care. We can have pizza for one day. And then please follow him on Instagram for more write-ups. We're easy. We are rooting for the write-ups. We want to read them. We're supporting the career. I'm hoping he will start a podcast soon so that we can listen.
I hope I'll start
and all the stuff, because I don't know if he wants to do YouTube, but
maybe I might give it a try.
We'll subscribe me for one. I'll be there for you. Alright, so thanks guys for listening to this. I hope that we'll have more progressive, difficult conversations that we won't shy away from having difficult conversations, but we'll really sit down as a people wherever we are to discuss and have this progressive mindset of resolving things rather than coming to a conclusion. So thank you for watching, and another long conversation. Bye-bye, easy. If you enjoyed us talking together, you can check this link down below. You can either check one of the series on mental wellness, I'll put two here, or you check the link whereby I spoke with him on Song Association. Till next time, like, share, subscribe, and see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.